Right now on the National Weather Desk, getting ready. As the Mississippi River continues to rise, cities along its banks are gearing up for flooding.
The entire community has been coming out to help.
Coastal flooding. Rising sea levels could mean oceanfront homes and businesses could one day be underwater.
Just a little bit more water puts us right at a damage threshold.
Northern Lights will explain why the Aurora Borealis Sunday night was so spectacular.
It just came down to all those moving pieces. Everything just happened to align.
Not so sweet. How a cold spell could have a big impact on this year's cherry crop.
Once temperatures hit those upper 20s, it means instant death for the blossoms.
Plus, what are zombie trees?
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. This will be a telling week along the Mississippi River. Melting snow and rainfall means the river is expected to crest several feet above flood stage. Communities in Iowa and Wisconsin are really on alert, and so is the Army Corps of Engineers. As Nita Sharma explains, they want to make sure a key dam remains in operation.
Lock-in Dam 10 monitors the flow of the Mississippi River as far away as 40 miles north. The Army Corps of Engineers' main concern right now, the rising waters.
Several feet above our normal, which is around 611 at this for summer navigation. So we've had some rain, some precipitation. We brought the water levels, they've come up.
The Lock-in Dam is vital to the local and state economy.
Lock-in Dam 10 does around 18.5 million tons of commodity, give or take a few 100,000 depending on what the markets are doing. And a lot of it for this area is going to be corn is our number one thing. About 20% of that. We also ship soybeans, coal, fertilizer.
The rising water is already a concern for the Army Corps of Engineers who work and operate this dam year-round. And the work doesn't stop when the river is rising at record highs, especially with homes so close by.
Fill some sandbags, the normal 40-pound sandbags that people think of in preparation. So we have, as part of our action plans for high water, we do have some areas we have to put sandbags down. We have some remaining sand and materials there too, in case it does get a lot higher.
The center point of the river is nearly 60 feet deep. The force you have to see to believe, all showing the strength of the mighty Mississippi.
This could change based on the weather.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will continue working around the clock, filling sandbags and making sure the dam operates without any problems.
And people living all along the northern Mississippi River are working hard to keep the water at bay. In the small Wisconsin community of Caseville, students and volunteers are helping to sandbag downtown businesses. The river is running higher than at any other time in more than 20 years, except for a flood in 2019. And the final week of April is going to be cold for many of you watching right now. Temperatures in many areas are forecast to be well below normal. Meteorologist Brian Vandergraff is keeping an eye on us, on the weather for the temperatures for us.
I'll keep an eye on you as well. And so take a look out there. Yeah, that spring chill descending upon even the nation's midsection. We've had frost and freeze concerns as far south as portions of Tennessee and portions of Kentucky earlier today. This morning we started off in the 30s. Now 30s may not think it's that cool, but this time of year our average low is some 10 to 15 degrees above that. So it was definitely felt across the midsection of the country through the Northeast. Over the next couple of days, we'll continue to stay on the chillier side. In fact, the eastern half of the United States, it's set to stay below average all the way into May.
All right, thanks, Brian. Temperatures are expected to be 20 degrees above normal this week near Reno, Nevada. That means rivers and creeks will be running high, fast, and cold. This is the Truckee River filling up with snow melt. The strong current and cold temperatures could pose a danger to anyone who plans to be on the river. The National Weather Service says the east and west fork of the Carson River, east of Reno, is already starting to reach the minor flooding stage, and residents of Shawnee, Oklahoma are still rebuilding after last week's devastating tornado. It's a day-by-day process as some folks are still without power. Victor Park is in Shawnee and reports that businesses are losing money, drivers have a longer commute, but crews are working to get residents back online as soon as possible.
This is the power line that comes to our house.
Ron Gamble has been without electricity for more than 100 hours. How's that been?
Well, it's not too bad because we have relatives that we stayed with.
But the 82-year-old has been busy cleaning up after a tree fell into his backyard Wednesday night. Down the street, crews drilled a hole and began installing new power poles and lines. Now, they are a few out of 2,800 crews working around the clock. By midday, power was back on to nearby businesses and homes. It is what some like Barbara Holt has been waiting for and got it sooner than expected.
We were sitting in the house and all of a sudden the air conditioner kicked on and I was like, oh wow, we've got power. So it was really nice. It was a good surprise.
And back at Gamo's home, he still has a long way to go before the cleanup is over, but is ready for it.
The Utah National Guard was called in yesterday to help fight a wildfire burning 200 miles east of Salt Lake City. The early season wildfire has burned nearly 460 acres. But as Daniel Woodruff reports, the use of Black Hawk helicopters helped to get that fire under control.
A bird's eye view of the Red Bridge fire in Uinta County, charring 460 acres of tribal land just south of Fort Duchesne. Joanne Wynn drives us up a mountain to show us exactly what the fire looks like.
Been up here back and forth a few times just seeing the progress.
She's lived in this area since 1973.
It's sad. It's sad because that's what makes me feel bad is how many little animals was in there and how many of them didn't make it out.
In the distance, we see Blackhawks from the Utah National Guard filling up with water. Critical work in an area that vehicles can't access.
So the helicopters doing great work, bucket drops, and they are working in conjunction with the crews on the ground.
Chris Sikakaku with the Bureau of Indian Affairs says the fire was human-caused, but beyond that, it's still under investigation. At its highest point, flames soared over 100 feet. Joanne is grateful it isn't growing anymore.
I'm happy that they're getting a handle on it, and I don't think that would have happened without the Blackhawks because there's no way to get trucks in around there. It's just swamp.
And Sunday night, the Northern Lights were out in full force with reported sightings as far south as Texas. People who saw them said the Aurora Borealis seemed brighter and more vibrant than usual. Meteorologist Phil DeCastro is in Green Bay with a look at what made Sunday's light show so unique.
Sunday night's Aurora Borealis swept across our skies and over our heads, rather than staying confined to the horizon. According to United States Air Force space weather forecaster Sarah Housesteele, the solar storm that triggered everything came together just right.
It definitely was pretty big and powerful. It was pretty fast. It was pretty dense, which is good for a significant impact. But really, again, it just came down to all those moving pieces. Everything just happened to align almost perfectly.
The geomagnetic storm that impacted Earth on Sunday night reached a G4 level, according to the Space Weather Prediction Center. That's only the second highest level on their scale, and Housesteele is optimistic that last night's event was not once in a lifetime. Activity on the sun runs in 11-year cycles, and we're on the way up.
We are expected to reach max within the next year and a half. So this is normal, and this is going to only become more common.
And if we end up directly in the path of one of these storms again, we could see another brilliant show.
And if you want to see some more great photos and video of the Northern Lights, head over to our Facebook page. We have pictures from all across the country, as well as posts from our meteorologists explaining more about them. Just head over to Facebook and search the National Weather Desk. A sure sign of desert spring in Las Vegas finally made his grand reappearance. Mojave Max is the official mascot for the Clark County Desert Conservation Program. The tortoise emerging from his burrow at exactly 3:40 yesterday afternoon. This is 1 week later than the latest he has ever emerged, which is, of course, shockingly late. Apparently, desert tortoises everywhere are emerging late this year. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, rising sea levels could pose a major threat to many U.S. cities. We'll head to Charleston, South Carolina, to see how they are working to combat that issue. And what this week's cool temperatures could mean for fruit crops. And a quick reminder here to check out our new podcast, Off the Radar. A new episode all about using meteorology to solve crimes is out now. You can find Off the Radar wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be right back.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have more unsettled weather in the Northeast due to the stubborn upper low that's parked itself over the region. It's a big blocky pattern. See that big omega block situated off to our east? This storm really has nowhere to go. So what does that mean for the Northeast? Well, we have some sun, but afternoon showers will be with us both this afternoon and again for Wednesday. This is 2 o'clock in the afternoon at 1:30. 40s and 50s will be common here. There's the chance for a few more showers on Wednesday as well.
I'm meteorologist Jonathan Myers, and here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Starting off at 9 a.m. in the 40s to near 50 by about lunchtime on our Tuesday, into the 50s to near 60, and about 60 to 65 for the afternoon. Even with some sunshine, kind of chilly for this time of year as fair weather high pressure out of Canada is our main weather maker for the day. Again, bright but mainly cool. Get your jackets out. That's the scene here.
Good Tuesday morning. I'm meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg, and here's a look at your southeast regional forecast for this Tuesday. We'll be looking at mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies for much of the southeast. Parts of Florida, though, with a stall front nearby, could be looking at rounds of afternoon and evening showers and storms, some locally on the heavy side. Afternoon high temperatures pleasant north of I-10 in the 60s and 70s, 71 for Atlanta, 78 Pensacola. We're looking for low to mid 80s in Tampa, West Palm, and Central and South Florida.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
These fantastic formations that resemble rippling waves are called asperitas clouds or asperitas clouds. Fairly new as far as cloud recognitions go. They were accepted by the World Meteorological Organization in 2015. Now to Virginia, where the signs of spring are showing up. This bleeding heart flower is one example.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Twitter.
Climate Central, a nonprofit that researches climate change and its impact on people, recently put out a list of the most vulnerable cities when it comes to coastal flooding. Charleston, South Carolina made that list. Sonia Stevens is in the Lowcountry with a look at what the risks mean for that city.
The Lowcountry is no stranger to flooding, whether from rain, tropical systems, or extremely high tides. But recently, we made the list for one of the most vulnerable cities due to flooding.
We live right along the coast, so just a little bit more water puts us right at a damage threshold that can be very costly or very deadly.
Experts like Dr. Daniel Guilford believe the main culprit, climate change, is causing sea level to rise.
We know that that increased amount of water combined with, say, a storm surge from a hurricane can cause devastating effects.
More water means more impacts in the future.
Even if we ceased all carbon dioxide emissions tomorrow, sea level rise would continue over the next 30 or 40 years. A lot of that change is already locked in because of the heat we've already put into the atmosphere and oceans.
Here's what the data looks like now. Areas in red on this map show us parts of the Lowcountry that would be underwater with an additional 2 feet on top of high tide level. That can be a combination of sea level rise, coastal flooding, and storm surge from a hurricane. There is a 99% chance of this happening every year. Now check out the areas that would be underwater with an extra 3 feet of water. The likelihood of this happening in a year, 17%. Coastal flooding can happen year-round, but storm surge is only an issue during hurricane season, which starts in less than 2 months.
Climate change is just making these storms that much more dangerous. And so even if there's a below average season, if a storm arrives where you live, there's that much more water for the storm to bring on shore, and your risks of flooding are going to be greater.
Dr. Guilford's advice moving forward.
So it's important for communities, if they want to be resilient to the effects of climate change, to consider ways they can adapt to those impacts.
And on the other side of the country, high water levels mean good news for some. In California, the mountain snowpack is melting and sending tons of water into the rivers and streams below. This means it could be a historic season for white water rafting. But as Leslie Valley reports, all the rushing water might make for great kayaking, but it also comes with some dangers here.
We definitely are anticipating having one of our best seasons ever.
About a month ago, Kernville was flooded after historic amounts of rainfall and snowpack, causing many to evacuate. Now, a little over a month later, businesses like Sierra South, a whitewater rafting company, is expecting one of their best years yet.
People know that this is one of the best whitewater destinations anywhere, and they want to come and see it for themselves and enjoy it.
Sierra South has been in Kernville since the 80s, and Evan Moore, who's taking over the family business, says this year is different for various reasons.
So this will be our longest rafting season in our company's history in the 38 years we've been here.
With raging waters going up to life-threatening speeds, Moore says that they've taken away some activities for precaution.
It's certainly not a year to come and go tubing, or really even to recreate around the river unless it's with a professional outfitter.
To prepare for summer safety when they're expecting about 15 to 20,000 more guests, their professional outfitters must have 2 or more years of experience. Zach Briers with Sierra Rescue International has been a whitewater rafter for over 10 years and says this year is different than anything he's ever seen.
I don't think it foreshadows necessarily incidents, but I think it helps raise awareness of what could come and what the water is going to be doing.
All experts we spoke to emphasize not to go into the water unless you're with a professional outfitter or wearing a life jacket.
It's a very minimal chance for survival if you're not wearing a life jacket this year.
In Indiana, fruit farmers are no longer in an immediate alert for cold temperatures thanks to a warm up over the last several days. But farmers are still keeping an eye on the thermometer and also their crops, with nighttime lows are expected in the 30s. Lynette Grant is in South Bend with a look at how cold temperatures could be a risk for blooming fruit trees.
These white flowers are the makings of cherries. Now that they're at 90% bloom, even a short time with temperatures in the 20s could spell trouble for this crop.
Anytime temperatures dip below 33 degrees after his cherries bloom, Stover wishes for some clouds or even a breeze at night to mix the air. For these cherries, upper 20s are killing temperatures.
There are a few products that are out there, some different fertilizers that'll help maybe buy you a degree or two. But again, that, if we drip down to 27, whatever we put on there fertilizer-wise, that's not gonna help.
Stover says once temperatures hit those upper 20s, it means instant death for the blossoms. A critical piece of the flower won't be able to produce the cherry fruit.
If you just peel the petal off, all those little pollen holders away, and then you're left with this right here, and that is the pistil, and that little thing right in there will be where the cherry comes from.
With the warmer temperatures come bees. As bees pollinate from flower to flower, they carry the pollen down the pistil. Stover knows he is lucky so far when it comes to temperatures, but not all the worry is gone.
My worry right now is, was there enough time after the bees did their work to get that pollen moved down the pistil and actually set a fruit on there? So that's something we can't tell right now.
And have you seen chunks of hail as large as grapefruits? For today's weather lesson, we explain how it gets so big. Syracuse meteorologist Violet Skybor with a look at how hail is formed.
And that occurs in thunderstorms where we have a wind that is rising very rapidly through the middle of the thunderstorm, and it keeps the hail suspended in the top of the storm, collecting more and more rain droplets around it and freezing onto that block of ice. So the stronger the updraft, the larger the hail will be. As far as wind speeds for updraft, depending on the size, a wind speed of 24 miles per hour in that updraft can create pea-sized hail. 35 miles per hour can create marble-sized hail. 40 miles per hour can create penny-sized hail. 46 can create nickel-sized hail. 49 can create quarter-sized hail. 60 miles per hour can create ping-pong-sized. 64 can create golf ball-sized. 69 can create a hen egg-sized. 77 produces tennis ball-sized hail. 81 produces baseball-sized hail, and 98 miles per hour is what gets you that grapefruit. Pretty impressive speeds for an updraft, that upward flowing wind in a thunderstorm. Now you know how strong it needs to be in order to see hail that large.
And we'd love to connect with you. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Just search the National Weather Desk or scan the QR code on the bottom left of your screen. And as we head to break, a look at a pod of humpback whales in Australia.
Well, a very good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. We got a few light showers across the Great Lakes as we continue on into your Wednesday. Got a few showers across the northern plains, but all in all, pretty quiet for most of us on Wednesday. And Thursday, got some showers starting to sneak their way into the south there and also out to the west. But temperatures, most of us generally kind of in the 50s, 60s, or low 70s as we head through the next several days.
Well, a good Tuesday morning to you. Meteorologist Chris Suchan. Look at our forecast for the day, and we are on guard for some strong to severe storms, most of Texas into Oklahoma as we work through the day. A few of these storms could have large hail, wind gusts, isolated tornado risk, 60s and 70s for highs. So again, a little cooler than normal through the evening. And then Wednesday, another batch of thunderstorms possible. Some of those could be heavy. And notice again, the highs still near or just below average through the day.
Hi there, and a good Tuesday morning to everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Finally getting our spring warm-up on. Better late than never here as we head toward the tail end of April in the Northwest. Upper 60s in Portland, 65 in Boise after running very cool for the better part of the last 3 to 4 weeks. 90s back in Phoenix, so certainly hot there through the desert Southwest. Next weather maker, higher pressure building in over the I-5 corridor. Going to keep that warmth coming to Seattle and Portland. And that's the scene from here.
A new study shows that nearly 20% of all Sierra Nevada conifer trees are no longer compatible with the climate around them and are in danger of disappearing. The trees are now getting a nickname called zombie trees. Taylor Burke is in Reno, Nevada with more.
Hotter, drier conditions driven by climate change in the mountain range have made certain regions once suitable to conifers an environmental mismatch for the trees. The trees are beginning to climb uphill to higher elevations, but are still unable to keep up with the region's rapid change and will likely be replaced with tree species better adapted to the climate. The study also estimates that over the next 80 years or so, these zombie trees will likely double. So an action plan needs to be put in place as this mismatch increases the likelihood that these conifers will be replaced with more shrub-like species, creating more wildfire danger.
They provide us many services, from the clean air we breathe to the clean water we drink to wildlife habitat to keeping our areas cooler. And so we really want to make sure we preserve our forests.
The study also includes a map to show how landscapes in the area will change over the next several years or so that forest managers and fire managers know where their limited resources can have the most impact.
And thank you so much for joining us. Tomorrow on the National Weather Desk, we'll take a look at how AI, artificial intelligence, could soon be on the front lines battling wildfires. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.